On the Wednesday edition of Mr. Irrelevant, presented by Door County Distillery, I'm Alex Strouf, with you from the Grubel offices. One call, that's all studios. In the Avenue, downtown Milwaukee, historic downtown Milwaukee. Producer Tiny Hands, Hunter Vaughn with me, back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. Hunter, you ever been trashed on the internet before? Anybody ever said anything mean to you before on the internet? You ever been cyber bullied?
Not to the extent that I know that you have been recently, or as we'll get to, Angel Hernandez. But yeah, comment sections are mean.
Yeah, comment sections are mean.
I've been
Aaron
called
Hernandez
fat a lot. Yeah.
Aaron Hernandez also famously mean.
Yes. Very well
Angel
known
Hernandez,
for being
yes,
a not nice guy.
Was cyberbullied a little bit. We'll get to that in a second. I want to dive into my cyberbully situation here in a minute. Tony Cartagena from the Thanalysis Show, Thanalysis podcast, going to join us in about 15 minutes. We'll talk a little Packers, talk a little, maybe a little NBA basketball, NBA Finals tip-off tomorrow, so I want to get his thoughts on who will win that series. And then what's coming up on the Thanalysis Show, one of our great shows here at Good Karma Brands, ESPN Wisconsin, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, of course, the older brother of Giannis. Tony does a great job with that show and all the great content they're pumping out. Some of the past episodes include, Enrique Ongambawale, Jordan Love. There's a new one coming out tonight that we will talk about in a minute as well. So Tony Cartagena will join us about 12:45 to kind of whip around Wisconsin. Do want to talk about the Jordan Love contract situation that is ongoing, as no extension has been reached quite yet by the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love, but they're going to get there, and that's important. That's important. A timeline has been set. We'll get into that momentarily as well. But I want to start with, I've been cyberbullied the last 24 hours. I don't think I was set up for success, though. But I've never been in a position where I open Twitter and at every moment I have 20 new notifications, and most of them are telling me I should be fired, I'm a horrible human being, and that I should never speak again. Luckily for you, here I am. So about a year ago, we filmed this video that Hunter is about to play for you, which is essentially a blind ranking, which means you don't know the players that are coming. You put them in an order in which you think would be the correct order of the list, and then you have your list ranking something 1 to 5. In this case, it was the Wisconsin Badgers running backs history. Hunter, go ahead and roll the tape. We'll see how we did.
We're going to blind rank, which means we do not know the names that are coming our way. Wisconsin running backs.
People seem to not understand that concept last
time. I wanted to clear that up.
All right, let's go.
Melvin Gordon.
Number 1 in my heart. I'm going to go 3. Number 3.
Wow, look at us in sync.
All righty.
Brian Calhoun.
Oh,
5.
Brian Calhoun. Do you know who he is?
I don't.
2,000 all-purpose yards in Brett Bielema's last season as a defensive coordinator. A transfer from Colorado. Heck of a running back. Forgotten. Number 5 seems right.
Yeah, I agree.
Jonathan Taylor.
Okay, Heisman finalist. We underranked him in the last video. I love Melvin, but he wasn't a Heisman finalist.
Oh, he was. See, you're wrong on that. Melvin was a Heisman finalist. He lost out to Johnny Manziel. I'm going
Marcus
4 because if
Mariota.
Vontae Ball and Ron Dane are on this list, they're 1 and 2.
Fine. I hate putting him so low.
Okay, Ball.
Number 2. All-time leader in touchdowns in one season in the NCAA.
Before we find out the 5th name, if it's not Ron Dane, we did awful.
Yeah, well, we light this whole thing on fire. All right.
Braylon Allen.
Oh, man. Well, Braylon, by default, gets number 1. Jim, people definitely forget Braylon Allen's freshman season. He was 17 years old. People totally forget that.
Was he 17? What do you think?
So there you have it. Bad list. Braylon Allen, Monte Ball, Melvin Gordon, Jonathan Taylor, Brian Calhoun. Braylon Allen is not the greatest running back in Wisconsin history. Ron Dane obviously is, who you see on the screen if you're watching on the ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee YouTube channel. I would just love to point out the fact that Hunter is attempting to take a shot at me on the video stream right now.
This is what I get for trying to do 4 jobs at once.
Strouf's an IDOT. Yeah,
yep.
I am sure an IDOT. No doubt about that.
I'm done trying to spell things. There will be no more lower thirds the rest of the show.
Strouf's an IDOT. Strouf's an IDOT. Yeah, I am an IDOT. Absolutely right about that. IDOT. And everybody on the internet, let me know. Hey, Strouf, you're an IDOT. You dumb IDOT. How the hell do you not have Ron Dane first? Because Ron Dane wasn't an option. Nobody watched the content. I got like 150 replies that look like this one, Hunter, telling me I'm trash. I'm an idiot. I should be fired. 150 of those in my inbox over the course of the last 24 plus hours. That one from an hour ago. Wow, these guys are trash, says FlowBro88. I'm an IDOT, bro. I get it. An IDOT. And once again, I'd like to point out that video is like a year old. I don't know why yesterday it decided to blow up, and people want me fired for it. Fascinating, though. I'm actually very entertained by social media and people that get really angry over stupid stuff. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I think it's fascinating that people respond so vigorously and angrily to something they didn't even consume. Right? Like, if you watch the video, the very first thing Jim Rutledge says is, we don't know who's coming. We're going to rank them. And now everybody thinks I should be fired. Good news is I haven't been fired. Angel Hernandez, on the other hand, also not fired, has retired, but due to the public backlash that I've received over the last 24 hours. Now, I understand what I do, and what Angel Hernandez does on a very different level is a very public job. You were open to public criticism. You are open to being bashed and trashed and tweeted and TikToked and Instagram comments. When you're in the public light, yeah, you're going to get trashed a little bit sometimes. And Angel Hernandez, rightfully so, the now retired MLB umpire, was trashed a lot. He ruined a perfect game a couple of years back for the Detroit Tigers. Actually, probably more than a couple of years back. Hunter, buddy. Angel Hernandez?
That one was
Angle?
intentional.
Was it?
Yes.
Are you sure you're just not having a rough day? It's okay if you're having a rough day.
No, that one was intentional.
What's the joke?
Because I spelt the other one wrong. And I said I'm not going to have any more lower thirds.
All right, fair enough.
I was trying to be very on the nose with it. I didn't think you'd get this derailed.
I know, you know me. Of course I'm going to get distracted. Do you think Angel Hernandez is an IDOT, Hunter?
No, I'm sure he's a very smart guy. He was just very bad at umpiring baseball. So, as I'll get ripped apart as people read the comments on this, I rightfully should, because I've been very bad at my job this afternoon. And that's what happens when you're very bad at your job in a public environment. So, you just kind of have to deal with it. I have realized, though, that this may have been very bad for Twitter and the internet, because we may have realized that cyberbullying can actually work on a very public scale. So this could backfire on a lot of people.
Yeah, so essentially the story there is that Angel Hernandez, apparently, I don't know who, I think Jeff Passan of ESPN reported that essentially he saw some of the comments, he's heard some of the public pressure, and that is the reason in which he chose to retire at the time in which he did, which was into this season. Yeah, for what it's worth, though, I never once thought about retiring or quitting or leaving, despite the fact that a lot of people told me I was an IDOT. So there you have it. All right, Brian Gutekunst, Packers general manager, talked to the media yesterday and said something along the, I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but it was something to the effect of, we would like to get this done by training camp, quote, for sure, end quote, from the Packers general manager, Brian Gutekunst. Now setting a timeline on the Jordan Love contract situation. I'm not really ready to call it a standoff or a battle, but there certainly is discussions happening that are ongoing. And Brian Gutekunst has intentions to get this done by the start of training camp, which earlier in the week was announced as July 22nd will be the first training camp date, 10:30 a.m. practice for the Packers in Green Bay. Now, I love that there's a timeline, and timelines are good, right? Like they usually trigger reaction. And here's the thing with this situation that I don't think has been acknowledged enough is you're not dealing with the diva that was Aaron Rodgers anymore, right? You're not dealing with somebody who's going to complain and bitch and moan about every single thing he thinks is wrong, right? You're dealing with a guy who is currently at hopefully the early parts of his ascension to greatness, right? What you saw out of Jordan Love in the second half of last season showed you that Jordan Love could easily become one of the faces of the NFL at the quarterback position. Patrick Mahomes is going to be around a while, and I think that's his title, and it's his throne until proven otherwise. But Jordan Love has certainly proven he can be in the conversation. I'm not saying he's in the conversation yet, but what you saw in the second half of last season was ridiculous play and ridiculous levels of play and ridiculous success, right? For a team that was 2-5 at one point to go on the road to the number 2 seed in the NFC and win a playoff game, pretty absurd what they were able to accomplish. So for Jordan Love, this is obviously life-changing money, generational wealth, whatever you want to call it. I get that. He's going to get paid, but what will he get paid? The Packers probably hope it's somewhere between $45 and $50 million a year. Jordan Love's camp probably hopes it's closer to $55 to $60 million a year. And they're probably closer than that, considering that these negotiations have likely been ongoing for months at this point. May 3rd, over a month ago, was the first date they could have signed an extension. Obviously, they have not yet. But this isn't Aaron Rodgers. This isn't going to be a standoff or a holdout or a sit-in for Jordan Love. He's going to sign a contract. He's going to get paid very handsomely, and he's going to continue to be the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. The only thing you can think of that changes with Goody saying, hey, we hope this gets done by training camp for sure, is that both sides want to limit distractions. This isn't and that's something Aaron Rodgers, who said he would like to eliminate all distractions from the New York Jets locker room, is good at or has ever been good at. He likes stirring the pot. He likes creating distractions. Jordan Love said yesterday that this is the closest in terms of togetherness a Green Bay Packers team has ever been when he's been on the roster. So why would Jordan Love and his camp, when they clearly have the ability not to, stir up any BS? And they're not going to. I don't anticipate they will. I don't anticipate that this will drag on further than training camp or the first. But by August 1st, if a deal isn't reached, I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked. This will be done by July 22nd. Goody said it. I believe him. I think Goody has earned our trust when it comes to pretty much every situation, given what he was able to do with that team a year ago. And I'll stand by it. I think Jordan Love gets paid by training camp, no problem. So we'll see. Going to tell you about my friends from Door County Distillery, locally produced, handcrafted, and award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County. If you're heading up to Door County, weather's getting good, people. You got to check them out in Carlsville. I mean, it is awesome. You can do the tours, you can do the tastings, you can check them out. You can buy exclusive products on site in Door County. But if you're not in Door County, you're not headed to Door County, you can get all their great stuff locally wherever you are. If you're in the Milwaukee area, if you're in the Madison area, you can get them right by you. Check out their website, doorcountydistillery.com. You can also scan the QR code on your screen right now to find a huge list of unique cocktail recipes. And the retailer nearest you, whether it's the Cherry Vodka, local collaborations, by the way, all the time up in Door County. Cherry Vodka made with Door County cherries. They've got whiskeys, bourbon, single malt, rye. They've got everything you could need and more. Check them out, doorcountydistillery.com. We step aside for 60 seconds. Tony Cartagena joins us on the other side. It's Mr. Relevant. I'm Alex Strouf.
Back at Door County Distillery in Carlsville, Wisconsin, with my friend Beth from Door County Distillery. We're mixing up the peach gin and juice today. That sounds like Snoop Dogg would love it. Talk to me, Beth. What are we mixing?
So we're using our gin, our flagship gin today. It's gin, lemonade, a little grenadine, and then our peach wine. So you remember the Carlsville sour we did last year?
I do, very well, yeah.
Same concept. It's just the gradient's gonna be in reverse. So I'm gonna start with 1.5 ounces of our gin.
The classic green bottle.
We're gonna do 1 ounce of grenadine, 2 ounces of our lemonade. We're gonna stir that with our bar spoon.
Got it, before we add the wine.
And then we're gonna use the back of our bar spoon to float the peach wine on top. And there we go.
Looks like summer to me, Beth. Cheers.
Cheers.
The peach gin and juice from Door County Distillery with my friend Beth.
Check out their website with a huge list of unique cocktail recipes at DoorCountyDistillery.com. That's DoorCountyDistillery.com. Yeah, DoorCountyDistillery.com. All right, joining me now, he is the executive senior amazing producer of the Thanalysis Show with Thanasis Antetokounmpo. How'd I do in your title there?
I'm going to get that on the business cards ASAP. Executive, senior, amazing producer. Love that. That sounds great to me.
Yeah, put it in the email signature as well. Tony Cartagena joins me now on Mr. Irrelevant. I'm talking about Jordan Love and the timeline that Goody set, and I'm fascinated by it, right? Get it done by training camp for sure.
You know what's wild? Is so you know how your phone listens to you, right?
Your phone does listen to you, yes.
100%.
100%. Targeted ads,
We
yes.
talked, whether it's pre-show and just around here, about contract negotiations and Jordan Love this and Brian Gutekunst that. I went to TikTok, as I like to do at all times.
Where's this headed?
I'm just telling you how the phone listens to you. The first TikTok I just saw right before the show, so I'm listening to you in last segment, I opened TikTok, was a professional HR page that gave you 4 tips on contract salary negotiations.
Oh.
First, I have never Googled that in my life.
So-
first thing that popped up. And do you know what one of the things is?
I was going to ask. Yeah.
Timelines. Don't set one.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So, way to go, Goody.
But shouldn't you set one? Well, if you're the employer or if you're the employee?
If you want to give up leverage, I think you set a timeline. If you don't want to give up leverage, I think you just engage in conversations, right? And it'll get done when it gets done.
So I have the word leverage on the sidebar, if you look to your right underneath your name. And I would actually love to talk about leverage because I'm fascinated by it. So do you think the Packers lose leverage? And by leverage, you mean also they have to give into whatever the demands are from Love and his camp earlier. So do you think because Goody set a timeline yesterday when talking to the media that Jordan Love will go from, let's say, $53 million a year to $58 million a year? I'm not asking necessarily about the numbers, but do you think that pay takes a bump because they want to get it done by training camp, quote unquote, for sure?
I do, because I think if you look at it, like if I'm negotiating my work salary, right? Or like look at you. You're a producer of Kyle Bress and Norman on ESPN. Milwaukee,
Yeah, making
right?
about $53 million a year.
Yeah, I think somewhere ballpark. So let's just say the director of content comes up to you and says, hey, Strouf, we need to negotiate your new contract, but it has to be done by the time the Packers play the Eagles in Brazil because we need you. Why would you accept that first offer? If he's going to be like, all right, here's this amount of money, you're going to be like, no, I want this amount. And I can just not answer the phone until we're 2 days, 3 days, right before the start of the season. Hey, program director, remember when you called and said you need me by the Packers-Eagles game? Here's my number. You still need me? And guess what?
Good point.
Jordan Love's not replaceable. No. So if they're that far off on money, which I don't think they actually are, I think it's more so just seeing where he's going to fit amongst some other contracts. I think Goody gave up a ton of leverage yesterday. A ton.
I don't know about a ton, but so I wonder where that number is, and I don't think either of us has the answer. But I would imagine if you're Love's camp, you're saying, hey, pay me 60. That's going to look really good in 3 years.
I mean, you start there, don't you?
You might start higher.
Higher.
62?
I don't think it's absurd to come to the table, the initial negotiations with a number like that, because like you said, it is going to look really, the Netflix money is going to come in, Apple TV is going to get involved, YouTube's going to, that money's going to come in and it's going to look really, really good. However, you never want to come in so high that the team's like, do you know what? He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He probably asks for whatever he wants. It might shrink down a little bit. But if he asks for 60 and the Packers say 52, all right, let's meet at 55, 56, right? Mm-hmm. If Jordan comes in at 53, of course Russ Ball is going to be like, how about 48?
Cut the check.
And then
pretty
we
much
end up at 50. So, yeah. Do you know what? If you're David Malgetta and Athletes First, you come in there to be like, all right, Dak's going to get 60 next offseason. Trevor Lawrence could get 60 next offseason. Let's start at 4 years, 60 mil each. Why not?
Yeah.
It's negotiating, right?
4 years, 240, yeah.
And then you ask them, give me a reason why I shouldn't get this.
Oh, man. So if you're Love, do you think this drags out past training camp? July 22nd is the first Packers practice. Like, if I'm Love, I'm kind of hoping it does. But are you showing? Because that's the thing. I just said he's not Aaron Rodgers, right? He's not. He just said yesterday it's the closest in terms of friendliness and teamwork that this team has ever been. Not in terms of close to a Super Bowl that he's been a part of in his years in Green Bay. Why, when you are patient zero, essentially, the reason that is, Why screw with it? That's the part I'm fascinated by, because Love also realizes there are other implications that come from, let's say, a hold in, or not practicing and waiting to get paid into training camp. That's the part I'm fascinated by, because I think this thing could be done next week.
It's such a double-edged sword, because if I'm Jordan Love's agent, if I'm Jordan Love's family members,
yes, you're saying two different things. Probably,
I'm telling him 100%, do not step foot on that football field until a new deal is done. Yeah. And that's just, and I say that because of one name, Teddy Bridgewater. Right? Like, injuries happen. In the NFL, you are legitimately one play away from never, ever playing again. And as we've seen with David Bakhtiari in practice, as Teddy Bridgewater in practice, you don't put, let's just say, $150 million guaranteed dollars on, like, you're in the neighborhood there of multi-generational wealth. Mm-hmm. You're not just looking for a big payday. So, like, you protect that asset, which is your ankles, your knees, everything at all costs. And your teammates understand that. Your teammates are in the business of making money as well. And then you hope it gets done sooner than later. But maybe put the Packers' feet to the fire a little bit as well. Like, hey, I'm not risky. You for sure do not play a preseason snap. Mm-mm. Or what are the joined practices? No, yeah. Hell no.
Yeah, joint practice. I'm totally ADDing out right now. But joint practices have always been fascinating to me, because it seems like there's almost always a fight. Right? Like,
coaches like that.
You think they like a little fire?
Yeah, man, you're so sick of seeing the same guy line. Do you know how sick, like back in the day, or even this year, do you know how sick of Jair Alexander Dontavian Wicks is going to be?
Oh, big time.
Sick of him.
Big time.
But then he's going to go play Denver and go play Baltimore, and I can't name a defensive back from either one of those teams right now. But look, take a little bit of that. You can't either.
Who is it, Baltimore and Denver?
Baltimore and Denver.
Well, Kyle Hamilton's the really good safety in Baltimore.
Okay, we got one.
Denver has a corner, too, who I'm blanking on. But anyway.
Bet they have a couple of them.
Patrick Surtain.
But
yeah, there you go, Surtain.
That was it from the 90s, man. Come on.
His son literally played.
Is it the second?
Patrick Surtain played for the Finns back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, we're that old now that his son is playing.
A couple of those, yeah.
No, but now he gets to go take that aggression out on Patrick Surtain, if he does exist, or Kyle Hamilton, and now it's not on Jair and Valentine and Bullard. It's different.
So you're a Packers fan.
I am.
But you find Packers fans to be annoying.
The worst fans in all of the worst, best fans. Do you know who they are?
Who are they?
They're your super annoying uncle. Look, I got an uncle, right?
Is he like a drunk uncle or just an uncle?
Everyone's got a drunk uncle.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I got an uncle. Great guy. Love him to death. We talk for more than 10 minutes. I'm like, bro, you are so... He has these cowbells during Packers games every time there's a play. Ringing the cowbell, right? I'm like, bro, you are so damn annoying, right?
What are you doing on Thanksgiving, Tony?
I might come hang out with you so I can avoid the cowbells. What you cooking? But, like, that's what Packer fans are to me. We think we're the best. We donate $250 for a piece of paper. There's this like entitled of, we have all these world championships that don't really count. Like, Packer fans are annoying, but I love every single one of you. Love them all.
Yeah, well, I did most of them. Minus if they have cowbells, not so much.
You know what? To be honest, when Jordan Love was drafted by the Packers, and when he took over as their quarterback, I was so nervous because Green Bay has never had a full-time starting black quarterback before. Mm-hmm. And I've driven through Wisconsin. I've stopped, unfortunately, to get gas on my way to... Like, it's not a friendly place to people that look like Jordan Love or that look like me. Let's just be completely honest about it, right? And when he sucked early in the season, I was like, oh, man, these callers, these tweets...
Yeah, they're going to get bad.
It's not going to be great. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I got to be honest.
So you're proud of Wisconsin?
I was a little bit.
Okay.
You know what? But that's a sick bar, right? I'm proud we weren't racist.
That's
like, good Lord. But, like, honestly, as you think about those kinds of things, and I was just like, all right, anyone says anything remotely close about my guy, J Love here, all bets are off. So I was a little proud of us.
Were you on the bandwagon pretty quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was too. I actually really liked the draft pick. I think I'm one of like 3 people in the entire planet that was a fan of that draft pick when they did it.
I think I spent more time like trying to understand why than like
you'll never understand
evaluating it. But to me, and this is it is going to sound shallow. This is what it is. But the Packers had a full-time starting black quarterback. Like, I was on board right away. I was like, I'm rooting for this guy no matter what.
For sure.
Like, that's going to be my guy. And it started off a little rough.
It's worked out all right. I mentioned you're the producer of Thanalysis. You had Jordan Love on.
We did.
What was like the big takeaways from that conversation between Thanalysis and Jordan Love?
Honestly, it was awesome just to be part of 2 guys that are just so beloved by the fan bases now. and two guys that love the state of Wisconsin. So like that entire interview, as goofy as this sounds, like most of it was talking about TA, Thanasis Antetokounmpo had never done. He didn't know what the Lambeau Leap was.
Yeah, that part was really
And
good.
then Jordan started to explain it to him and how great it is for. And then because TA just operates this way, he's Googling the history of the Lambeau Leap, videos of it. How high is the wall? When can we go up and try? Like, and just wants to learn everything about it.
Yeah.
And that to me, in that moment of like the quarterback, the star quarterback, is teaching an NBA player who is athletic as anybody all these things about the game of football, who comes from overseas, he doesn't know anything about it. And he's only watched 6 football games in his life. 5 of them are Super Bowls.
Wow.
And so he's talking to Jordan Love just like he is, hey, teach me football, but also just like we're two normal dudes hanging out, having a conversation. And it was beautiful.
That is
awesome.
beautiful. That's a cool thing about Thanalysis and Thanasis, the host of the show, obviously, is like these conversations are very like me and you. Teach me everything. Let me learn about you. Let me learn about where you came from. What's in the hopper for Thanalysis coming up?
So tonight, 10 p.m. at Thanalysis Show on YouTube, we drop every episode every Wednesday night, right? And this is about as Midwestern as you can get.
Oh, boy.
But we got Charlie Behrens to do the podcast. And when I tell you, I'm going to take you guys behind the scenes real quickly here. I knew Charlie was funny. I didn't know we were going to have to pause the podcast in the middle of filming it because everyone was crying so hard of laughter. And I'm dead serious about that. It was so amazing. We can tease it a little. He tells the story about how he got his first car because he shot up his dad's minivan accidentally when they were hunting.
Oh my
and his
God.
dad made him buy it from him with the bullet holes in it. And he goes into character and does this whole PSA like, kids, you're looking for a new car? Just get you a rifle. It's amazing. It's so like, it's just very funny. It's very Midwestern. At some point, Charlie teaches TA Midwestern slang phrases like "ope" and "don't you know."
Love that.
And it was just organically one of the funniest conversations I've ever been a part of.
So Midwestern slang is actually something that fascinates me as well. Do you use it? I've noticed I really don't use it. Ope, maybe occasionally.
I feel like I'm too much from the city to use a lot of Midwestern slang.
Because you grew up in Milwaukee.
I grew up on the south side of Milwaukee, so like the classic like Manitowoc slang or Green Bay slang, I don't like don't you know or ope.
Both
like,
areas near and dear to me, by the way. Born in Manitowoc area. Yeah.
That's why I use the examples.
Yeah.
You know, shout out Denmark High School.
Yeah, indeed.
But so I don't think I use them very often, but I recognize when other people do.
Okay. Interesting.
Like I'll hear it and be like, "Oh, you're from Wisconsin." You got a little head nod. Like,
it comes quickly.
Yeah.
You can tell some accents thicker than others.
oh, I lived in Minneapolis for 2 years. Those people up there, they're speaking another language.
Canadian?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You can't understand a word those people are saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you do an impression? Are you an impression guy?
I'm not an impression guy. No, I think they're so bad they don't even try. But it's just like, think of like the classic lady just going like, "Oh, don't you know?" like that was terrible. But that's what I think of when I think of the Midwestern accent.
How did animal facts come to be on Thanalysis?
They're amazing. And honestly, Animal Facts came to be because it's just one of those things where like everyone involved in the show legitimately likes to learn about non-basketball things.
Okay.
And it kind of just happened. We were talking about some animals, and then boom, it was just like, hey, 3 animal facts. Let's see if we can convince the guest to guess true or false for some of them. So if I told you, hey, Strouf, true or false, kangaroos can't walk backwards.
I just have a hard time believing you would make that up. I'm going to say that's true.
It is true.
Okay,
It's also
interesting.
true that we did that animal fact with Donovan Mitchell, NBA superstar. We posted short stories. We posted clips all over social media. Do you know which one did the best by about 20 times? I'm talking in the millions of views.
I would guess that one.
The animal facts about the kangaroo. I'm like, people just love this. I have called the Milwaukee County Zoo and said, like, I need an expert. I need some facts. So, like, on the Charlie Behrens episode tonight,
Yeah.
all Wisconsin animal based.
Okay, so you're talking about, what are you talking about? Badgers?
I believe there is a deer, an
Okay.
eagle,
Okay.
and a there's a robin question for sure.
Oh, yep, state bird, yep.
Yep. And I want to say badger, eagle, and deer. I'm
Interesting.
pretty sure we hit on kind of like, the classics.
Interesting. All right, before I let you go, TC, NBA Finals, it feels like it's been 3 years since an NBA game has been played.
Has been a while.
They start tomorrow. It is the Mavericks and the Celtics. The Celtics breezed their ways to the final. Mavs did in the conference finals, but overall, some fun series for them. They have a fun team. Former Bucks coach Jason Kidd. Mm-hmm. Celtics have the former Bucks point guard Drew Holiday. There's some Bucks angles here.
There are
man.
a couple Bucks angles.
That's the fact that Jason Kidd has coached a team to the finals absolutely fascinates me. But curious how you think this series goes down, because I think it'll be a fun one. It's a fun matchup.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a super fun matchup. I feel like the Mavericks are always down by 10 and then end up winning with 6 minutes to go.
They
and
did
that's
that
been
like 6 times.
Yeah, and that's been a weak point for Boston. I will say Jason Kidd, I think he's the definition of learning what you don't know. And he was an NBA hothead. JJ Redick, take note. Like, he was an NBA hothead, great player. It's hard to become a coach. And I think he's really learned how to coach. It took him 10 years, but he's learned how to coach. And granted, when you're Jason Kidd, you get the opportunity like other people don't. But either way, I think he's turned into a really good coach. I will be wearing, and I got an extra if you want it for your show tomorrow, I will be wearing my number 21 Bucks jersey tomorrow. I want Drew Holiday to get another ring. I think very few people I'm like, I'll take a bullet in the leg for. Drew Holiday might be very high on that list.
Really?
Yeah, man, I've always loved Drew.
Yeah, he's a great player.
He played in the McDonald's game in Milwaukee when I was in high school. Like, Drew was that guy. And he's not flashy. He plays ball. And he's more like the player that I like to model after. And Drew is just my guy, man. Like, that's Drew's the man.
I can't cheer for the Celtics. I can't do it.
Don't cheer for the Celtics. Just cheer for Drew.
I can cheer for Drew, but I don't want the Celtics to win another title.
I also love Kyrie and his game on the court.
Oh, 100%.
On the court. Luka, obviously, it's such a good. Did you know? If we have to, do you know what I learned I just learned I was just on a call with one of our Good Karma Brands teammates in Dallas. Did not know this story. Derek Lively.
I know a little bit of it, but go ahead.
So he was raised by his mom.
Yep.
He's 20 years old. They're super close. I just learned on this call that she just passed away.
Yep.
And as a mama's boy, right?
Depressing.
I'm like, bro, go win a title. Go get whatever you want.
He's had a great postseason too.
Yeah. So like, I'm torn on who I'm cheering for. You know what? I want the Mavericks to win it all, and Drew scores 40 a game.
Yeah.
Like,
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, that sounds like the ideal situation for me.
Last one for you, because I'm just thinking as we talk Jason Kidd.
I just think this is fun, and I feel like you need a co-host. Anyways, continue.
Hunter, take notes.
Not Hunter for the co-host. Hunter, you do a great job. I'm talking about me.
Hunter.
Yeah.
He's bashing you right now.
I'm not bashing him. I'm saying you do a great job. I would just do a co-hosting job a little bit better.
I mean, I also have to make sure that we can get on the video, and apparently I have to triple check my spelling. So I have a lot going on. We would need a new producer.
How poorly did you spell my name?
He did a great job on your name today. You got it right.
I got that
he
right.
Put executive senior amazing producer of Thanalysis. He spelled it all right. But earlier in the show, he was trying to call me an idiot. He wrote Strouf's an I dot. Which I am an I dot. I agree.
Which honestly was more just a typo, but then we had to lean into it.
Do you know what? No. Bro, if you could spell Thanalysis, Gutekunst, and my last name right in the same 90-minute show, like, you had a good show. You know what, Hunter? I take myself out of co-hosting responsibilities. This is all you.
Yeah, you're not Hunter. You did a great job today.
What was the question, Strouf? I'm sorry.
Would the Bucks be in a better place if Jason Kidd was, I don't want to say still the head coach, because obviously you want the title with Bud in there. But let's just say in an alternate universe, after they move on from Mike Budenholzer, they bring Jason Kidd back. Are the Milwaukee Bucks in a better spot than they are right now with Doc Rivers?
No, I don't think so. I think they would have been in a better spot had Doc just been the coach from the get-go.
I agree with that.
I don't think it was necessarily... Griff obviously just wasn't the answer. It just never translated over.
100%.
I do think as soon as you... I want to say one time in NBA history has somebody fired their head coach and then won a title that same year, and it was LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Correct.
And they probably shouldn't have won the title that year, but whatever. Like... I just think that was more so it. I think Doc is actually... I'm a huge Doc guy. I know a lot of people aren't, but...
Really?
Yeah, I love Doc. Love Doc. I think he's going to do a really good job.
You think he could bring this team to a championship?
100%.
Health, obviously, is the biggest part of this the last 3 years with the Bucks, right?
Real quickly, he didn't have health his last 2 years in Boston. KG got hurt, and they were in against the Kobe Lakers a couple times. Like, when they were healthy, they won. The Clippers team he had was never built to win. They were built to sell tickets. Chris Paul and Blake Griffin were never going to win a championship. They were going to really entertain people and take some fans from the Lakers. That's what they were built for as a marketing ploy. Philly, he didn't have health.
No, he didn't.
He just didn't. I mean, he had great talents and just never had health, whether it was Harden or Embiid, whatever. I think with health, Doc is the 100% the right person for this job. Had they had him the whole year, and Dame, more importantly, had the point guard needs their head coach. That's the most important relationship. Had he had him all year, whether it was Doc, whether it was J. Kidd, whether it was David Fizdale, whoever they would have brought in with an entire season plus health, we're probably talking about Bucks Celtics Eastern Conference Finals, this season.
Interesting. Time will tell. Tony Cartagena of the Thanalysis Show, executive, senior, amazing producer.
All spelled correctly. Thanks, Hunter.
You're not
You're
not,
welcome.
Hunter. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate you, buddy. Tony Cartagena, check it out. Charlie Barron's with Thanasis tonight on the Thanalysis Show. You can find that wherever you get your podcast in on YouTube. You can subscribe to Thanalysis. All right, we talked a little bit about it with TC there. Leverage in the Goody Jordan Love situation. I think Tony actually made me change my tune a little bit on this because he's got a point in terms of that Jordan Love. I love that Tony, by the way, ducked as he walked behind me. We're still going to see you, bud. Jordan Love can utilize that to his advantage. I just don't know that he will. And I don't know that he should. I mean, you're going to make more money if you do, if you really, 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 really want to, right? You can totally fudge your way. But I don't know if he has the gumption nor the leash, right? He played half a season. And don't get me wrong, it was a great half the season for Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers at the end of last year. But are we ready to say, hey, I need X. I need 60 million. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. So we will see. We will see. All right, let's get to it. What Strouf learned. And what you learned. Let me know in the YouTube comments at ESPN Madison, at ESPN Milwaukee, what you learned. B Rambo09 on the ESPN Milwaukee. I'm subbed for Wildy and Tausch, and the rest of you are absolutely awful to listen to. Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate you. That's what they learned, Hunter. What did you learn, Hunter?
I mean, I've learned that the internet is just even more mean than I thought it was. And I also learned that Star Wars is still fun. The Acolyte dropped last night.
There?
They've had some rough goes, and The Acolyte, the new show, dropped on Disney Plus. Watched it last night, the first 2 episodes, and it was outstanding. I really liked it, and I'm very happy with the direction that it's going. So, as a big nerd that I am, I was very happy with it. So I wanted to share that, and I know none of it means anything to you. So
it does. I've never seen Star Wars, but I'm fascinated that they still continue to make content, whatever it's been 30 years later. So I'm with you on that. I learned 2 things, both sports related. Number one, Corey Linsley, the former Packers center, has been cut from the Los Angeles Chargers after 3 years, also 3 years as a team captain with the Los Angeles Chargers. I doubt it, just given the Packers and what they've done, right? They don't sign people over the age of 30. They don't bring in people. But I'm not, and I've said this a few times this offseason, I'm not super sold on Josh Myers as the Packers center. I think he's viable. I think he's fine. I think he can get it done. I just don't know that he is to the level of competent that you would be super comfortable with. And I imagine this is probably his last year in Green Bay, given that this is the final year of his deal. But Corey Linsley out there is interesting to me. I doubt there's a reunion in store, like very heavily doubt it. But I would not be against the idea on a cheap deal if Corey Linsley was to come back and compete with Josh Myers.
yeah, I can't imagine with the O-line combinations that are out there for the Packers that they wouldn't just try and figure out the center position in-house, because they just have so many guys who are good enough. So, like, you might as well, like, they can figure it out with who they have on the roster.
Yeah. It actually seems more as if he's retiring, because the Los Angeles Chargers in their release tweeted hell of a career, Corey, rather than thank you, Corey. So I imagine there was probably a retirement announcement coming. But maybe Goody gets on the phone first. Maybe Goody says, hey, Corey, you got 1 year left in you. Wouldn't mind your services.
I did remember something else I learned that's actually sports related.
Go ahead.
I'm thinking that the Brewers might need to make a splash at the trade deadline. I don't know if that's with a bat or with a pitcher, but this was their first series here with the Phillies against a legitimate playoff team, and it's been tough. So I just think they need something. I haven't quite figured out what it is yet, but I think they need to make a move, and I have a feeling that they've got to try and get another bat. I'm okay with the pitching staff, but
the good news is, yes, first off, the pitching staff should get healthier come trade deadline time in August. Bats, you can always use them, but the good news is I don't think you need to figure it out yet, Hunter, right? Like, I'm with you. If this team is still hanging on to, what is it now? It's probably under what it was yesterday, a 7-game lead in the NL Central. But if you're still in a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-game lead, and you're clearly looking to contend come playoff time in September and October, of course you should make a splash. Typically, the Brewers are sellers at the deadline, even when they are competing. I would like to see them this year also make a splash. The other thing I learned, J.J. Redick being targeted as the head coach of the Lakers. I know it's something that's been in the talks for a few weeks, but it sounds like we are getting down to the nitty-gritty. He is the one option. And also Shams Charania of The Athletic reporting, it might be partially because of the podcast that had like 6 episodes with LeBron James that the Lakers are so fascinated with J.J. Redick. I like the hire, but as Tony pointed out before with the Jason Kidd thing, it's not super easy to make the transition from player to coach. It's not a 1-year turnaround that you can just voila, now I know what I'm doing. But I think J.J. Redick, a brilliant basketball mind, and know that doesn't always translate. I love him in the media. He's going to be calling the NBA Finals for ABC and ESPN. But it is kind of a sexy pickup. A name maybe you didn't expect for the Los Angeles Lakers as they look to get back into finals contention next year, as we have an aging LeBron James and Anthony Davis duo that is still very solid. We saw it in the bubble, or not in the bubble, excuse me, in the play-in tournament. But I don't know how much it moves the needle. It's just a coaching hire I'm fascinated by in J.J. Redick, who I think deserves a fair shake, and he'll get one with the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, no show technically Friday, Mr. Relevant, that is. But I am with you from noon to 2 until Friday with Jim Rutledge live from the American Family Championship in Madison. Also with you tomorrow night, 5 to 6 p.m. on the Homer Hour with Tony Smith as we lead you into NBA Finals coverage. And then also a special Saturday show from 10 to noon with Molly Brown on 100.5 ESPN Madison and 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. So a ton to get with you at this week, including at the AmFam Championship Friday, Saturday. But no show Friday. We're back with you Monday here on Mr. Relevant as we continue to react to everything going on in the green and gold and in Green Bay as OTAs officially wrap up. They have a mandatory minicamp coming up next week as well. So we'll dive into all the reaction from that coming up on Monday. But a couple substitute jobs coming in. I'm like a substitute teacher Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then back with you Monday on this very program. It's Mr. Relevant presented by Door County Distillery. Thanks to Hunter. Thanks to TC. I'm Alex Strouf. We'll talk to you Monday. Peace.